Abel here at WebTennis, and I want to kind of pick apart this point here that we see between Federer hitting the backhand up the line here and Novak Djokovic over here playing this forehand back cross court. And you know, this happens to us frequently where we hit a good shot. In this case, Federer hits it back cross court, and we can already see that Novak is getting stretched out. I mean, this forehand's really pulling him wide. He's reaching out just to try to do anything to get the ball back. And, you know, a couple of things happen here that I think we all make mistakes on way too often is, number one, if this is you and you've just played this shot and you can see that you've got your opponent stretched out, way too often what happens is our opponent gives us a short ball somewhere around the tee, and it kind of surprises us. And, you know, number one, that should never surprise you. Once you get your opponent stretched out, you've got to anticipate that the chances are now very likely that you're going to get a short ball back, and you should be looking for something around that depth. But number two, what do? Is we get the short ball, and now we go ahead and we move in, we get in position. And what's our brain thinking here? I mean, our brain right now is thinking, you know what, I'm loading up to hit a winner either into this corner, which is the open court right now for a moment, or you're thinking about maybe hitting a winner over that corner, sort of wrong-footing your opponent. And really, you know, the other shot that you want to hit, in fact, let me back up for just a second. You know, years ago, I used to think the same thing. I used to think right here, all right, I've got a short ball. I've got to play an approach shot over here. I've got to play an approach shot over there. And, you know, my opponent would be back here behind the baseline looking for it, knowing that that's all that I was going to do. And they could kind of be safe knowing that they could stay back here behind the baseline. Well, you get passed often enough doing that, and that gets me back to, you know, challenge number two, which is, what do? We try to go for the winner rather than getting passed. Well, let me show you here what Roger does with this that we all need to be adding to our approach shot strategy. So that's right. We've really got to ensure that we've got a drop shot as a real possibility. You know, when we come in, we get that short ball, and that, you know, you can really, you know, force your opponent. Once you show this, and, you know, I don't know how soon he showed this shot in the match. I mean, we can look at the score here. It's, you know, 5-all, 15-all in the first set. Who knows? Maybe, let's just say this was the first time that he did this in the match. But for the rest of the match, now what happens is every time Novak plays a short ball, I'm telling you, when he gets this look, he is not going to be standing back here in the baseline. You know, from this moment here where he knows he's getting stretched out, and right here he knows, you know what, I may be hitting a short ball. So after he plays it, he's not going to be going parallel to the baseline. He's going to be coming back in here looking for the possibility of another drop shot approach. And once that happens, now what? Now Federer and all of us can now be set up. If we had Novak or your opponent waiting here on the baseline, now anything that you play deep as an approach is so much tougher. Whether you play it to this corner, to that corner, or even if you play it right down the middle. If you've got your opponent thinking that the drop shot's a possibility, believe me, they're not going to be there. They're going to be trying to anticipate it by being up in there on the baseline. So what I want to show you now is one of the 5 elements of the execution, the technique of what Roger does that we can all realistically copy. Okay, let's talk about the third element, the third technical element that we need to have on how to execute this drop shot approach. And I really do call it an approach because you really want to be able to come in behind it. But the third element is we're going to work on the swing path, you know, kind of the shape of the swing. And the first thing you want to think about is volley technique, and that is the racket head is up above your wrist. You're not dropping it down below your wrist because you're gonna go more towards a continental grip and play slightly under the ball. You're going to play a little bit of underspin. But the thing that I want you to notice on this is there's not a lot of backswing, so that you don't have a lot of racket speed coming in. You don't want a lot of racket speed on this. In fact, if you were going to choose here to play a forehand slice approach, you'd really have the same setup here, but you'd use your feet more to kind of come against the ball with this stroke, and that would drive the ball deeper. But since you're playing a drop volley, you're just coming under it. Your feet aren't going, you know, quickly through the ball to where you get more power on it. And I want you to look at the finish. The finish is right here. I mean, this is not a long flowing stroke. It starts up, you know, the racket head is not super far back. It's really almost to his side. I mean, this camera angle doesn't show us that, but I'm telling you, this racket is not way back behind his head. And same thing for you. You want to set the racket more to your side, again, above the wrist. And then as you play this, you just slowly come down and you stop the swing right there. I mean, the swing does not go past that point. So this is really, it feels much more like a volley. And, you know, volleys, you may not sort of carve under it as much. You'll kind of get more of the backside. But what I want you to work on here is the finish. Just stopping the finish right in there so that you don't get too much spin, you don't get too much racket speed, and that you don't get too much depth on it. Okay, what I've got for you is another mini course where we're going to look at the 5 specific technique elements that Roger does that I know that we can realistically copy, so that you can really add another dimension to how you handle this short ball when you get one from your opponent. You know, we've already looked at element number 3, which is the swing path, and there are 4 other elements that I know that we can copy that's really going to help you deal with this short ball from your opponent. Now, what this mini course is going to do for your game is really help you with this challenge that we all have, that when we get a short ball, that, you know, too often right here we're thinking winner. We think, you know, this is so juicy. The thing is, I mean, look at where this ball bounces. I mean, it's bouncing inside the service line. Most of the time we're talking about balls that are bouncing, you know, a little bit deeper back here behind the tee, but this one is bouncing inside the service line. And when we get up to it, I mean, our brain just goes into overdrive thinking, you know, we just got to crank it, we got to crush it, you know, we got to hit a winner here, we got to hit a winner here. It's almost like, you know, we've really started to count the point before it's over. So what I want to do with this course and what it's going to do for you is really give you a new dimension of how to not only think about playing this drop shot, this forehand drop shot with this short ball, but also what this is going to do for all those times once you show this. Once you show this, I'm telling you, your deep approaches from here on out are going to be so much easier to play and so much more effective, because you're going to have your opponent really having to account for the fact that you know, you might go ahead and play another drop shot approach. Okay, so to pick up this mini course, there's a link right below the video. This is a $7 mini course. Just go ahead and fill in your payment information after you click that link, and you'll get immediate access to this course. All right, really looking forward to helping you. Have a great day out there.